Melissa saw a little girl with no shoes at the park. She bought her food and new clothes. After asking more about her, she made a drastic decision, but her father showed up a few days later, making a shocking scene. "Hey, child, what are you doing here all alone?" Melissa asked the little girl sitting on a bench at the park in New York. She was barefoot and had been crying deeply. "I was running after my dad, but my feet hurt," she answered. "What happened to your shoes?" "He took them." "Why?" "He said he was going to sell them," the little girl revealed, and Melissa was shocked. "The man took her shoes to sell and left her barefoot and alone just like that? He said he needs money for something. But he never buys food or anything. I'm so hungry," the little girl continued, and Melissa finally understood. His girl's father had to be doing something illegal or gambling money away. He couldn't even buy some food for his little daughter. Why would he do that? "Well, Kelly, do you like burgers?" "Yes," the girl cheered. "We'll get some after we get you some shoes," Melissa stated and started walking with the girl beside her. But soon enough, she saw Kelly struggling. Her feet were sore from walking barefoot, so she picked her up and went to the nearest store. She bought Kelly several pairs of shoes and a jacket. Then they went for some food. The poor child ate like she didn't know when her next meal would be. They later returned to the same bench where they met and sat for a while. "Is your father coming back here?" Melissa asked. "I don't know," Kelly replied, looking at the ground and swinging her feet from her spot on the bench. Melissa closed her eyes and knew she had to make a decision. It was getting late, and she would not let this girl continue to be alone. "Come with me again," she finally spoke up, and they went to her house. Kelly told her more about her father, Mark, and once again, Melissa was faced with making a serious decision. She had to call CPS, and luckily, she already had contact with a beautiful social worker, Sarah, because she was registered as a foster parent. Her friend told her to keep the child for the night, and they would visit to assess things the following day. The process the following day was easy because Melissa was approved, and she was willing to shelter the girl for as long as they could. Sarah talked to some officers who would look for the girl's father and ascertain if it was right to take the kid away. But after several days, they couldn't find him, and Melissa got the okay to keep Kelly at the time being. Several more days went by, and Kelly was thriving in her home. She was such a sweetheart and a delight to be around. Melissa couldn't imagine who would hurt her. However, their happiness was cut short when a knock sounded at her door. "Kelly!" bellowed a man standing right outside her door when Melissa opened it. It was Mark, and he tried to come in, but she placed her hand up and closed the door, trapping him. "Wait a minute, sir. You can't just come into my house," Melissa scolded, holding the door tightly to keep him from entering. She looked back, and Kelly was trembling on the couch. She didn't want to go back to her father, and Mark kept yelling, "Kelly, come here immediately. Do ye or ye leaving?" "No, you're not," Melissa said firmly. "She's staying with me, and you'll have to talk to the authorities before anything can be arranged. You thief! You stole my daughter!" He screamed and pushed hard, finally entering the house. "No, I didn't. You abandoned her." Melissa started yelling at him as she reached for her phone in her back pocket. "Come on, Kelly, let's go." Mark tried to coax Kelly to follow him, but she didn't want. She grabbed a throw pillow, hugged it tightly, and shook her head. Melissa had her phone in her ear with 911 on the line. After hanging up, she said, "The cops are coming here. You can settle this with them." "No, you crazy woman," Mark yelled but didn't dare do anything. Fortunately, the cops arrived quickly and started talking to Mark. Melissa also called Sarah and appraised her of the situation. She drove over to her house while the police were still there. They talked while they calmed Mark down. They asked him how he got there, and he said he had followed them one day after they were out for breakfast, but he waited outside for a long time before causing the scene. Eventually, Kelly's father gave her a disdainful look and left. The officers told him they needed to check his house and everything to determine if he could get the girl back, but he had to get his act together. He never did, and Kelly stayed with Melissa for a long time. Eventually, she became the girl's legal guardian and adopted her years later. They never saw Mark again, and he never fought for his daughter.